I am here with, I'm Benjamin here, and I'm here with my co-caster.
Hello, I'm Kayla Lucas.
And so tonight we got week 1 of the NECC. We got GCU here versus NAU tonight. It should be an exciting match. I'm extremely excited to be back in the NECC, get everything going again. I personally am a huge League of Legends fan, and I'm extremely glad to actually just have everything started again. We're going to have a pretty exciting matchup, I'd say. I know GCU just did kind of like, they're rebuilding almost of our varsity team. We have a new coach this year. His name is Jake. He is a former Masters, I believe Grandmasters jungle player. And then I'm excited for the matchup tonight. I don't know too much about, honestly, either. I haven't got to talk to a lot of varsity guys yet this year. But honestly, I just want to ask, how do you think tonight's going to go?
I think tonight's going to go really well. I think we're going to have so much excitement with them being the first game of the new season with new players. Like, I'm excited to see where today's game is going to lead us today.
I cannot agree more with you. And then I am extremely excited because I know all of our players here at GCU are powered by Rockstar. They got their energy flowing in their veins. We got, and I want to thank Canes for being able to sponsor us. We can do so much with this, so we can have a broadcast team. And then I want to say thank you to Fit Gamer for being partners with us. They actually help with our physical, mental, and multiple parts of the gaming of our esports teams. And I want to thank MSI just for working with us through so many different ways, through our broadcast and through our actual in-person events at GCU. For tonight, though, I honestly can't wait to get in the draft. The meta's been changing constantly in League. The new patch just dropped for, I believe it's 13-19. It's the Worlds patch, which, for those who don't know, Worlds is the biggest League of Legends tournament that happens every year, determines who the best team is. Think of it like the Super Bowl, but for League of Legends. This entire year has been building up to it, and the Worlds patch means that nothing about the game will change from this patch until Worlds for for those players. But for our collegiate players, it changes about every week and a half to 2 weeks. A new patch comes out, buffing champions, nerfing champions, making the game almost feel fresh every 2 weeks. And it's been kind of explosive recently with the meta being shaken up. Because I don't know how much League you personally play, Kayla, but I play a little bit too much of it. And every role has been changing constantly. So I want to ask you, though, first, how much League do you actually play?
I actually, before this, I did an interview for this job. I downloaded Wild Rift on my phone, which is, for those who don't know, is like the mobile phone version of League of Legends. And so that's how I got my start on League of Legends. And then after I got hired for this position, I still been playing Wild Rift, but I also been watching a ton of YouTube videos about this, so I'm more than ready for the job today.
So, who's your favorite character been, to play or to watch?
Ooh, I don't know, because I have a lot just been playing it, but I think Caitlyn is one of my personal favorites. That's like one of the first characters I fell in love with, and Ziggs is also a really good...
We all love a good psychotic Ziggs.
Yeah. But that's like personally my dad's favorite character. Like, he's like, oh, mention Ziggs. He's so awesome. So it's like, yeah, I love Ziggs.
Well, I'm thinking we might be able to see a Ziggs. I don't know about Ziggs. He's not doing perfect right now, but honestly, he can kind of just come out of nowhere. Caitlyn has felt pretty strong recently. Just her ability. I know last year when I was casting for our team, our bot lane went Caitlyn and Lux, which is just extremely long range, really annoying, because they can just kind of kill you from a million miles away and you can't do much about it. But for tonight, I personally want to see GCU pull out some explosive champions. For those who know, I'm talking about, like, I want to see that one-shot mage mid lane. I want to see some bruisers top. I don't want this tank top lane. I play a lot of tanks top lane. I don't want to watch a wet noodle fight. I'd rather it be explosive. I want fast, hard-hitting games that, frankly, you could not end on a coin flip, but feel like a coin flip sometimes. So with you playing Wild Rift more, though, in Wild Rift, what do you think is the hardest part? So what do you think was the hardest part about League, and what do you think has been the easiest for you to learn?
I think, like, obviously, like, before I knew nothing, and so, like, just jumping in, I had exactly no idea what I'm doing. But it's like as you continue to play more, the more you catch on things. And I think honestly, just like learning like how to not basically die basically. But I've learned that if you go to like the base of like your respective teams, either that's like the blue side or the red side, I've learned that you can just like give yourself natural healing abilities, and then you can just keep on going depending on like what part of the map that you're at, which is like low base, high base, middle base, all of that.
So as someone who, it actually works out, I think, really well with you not knowing every single little detail about League, because I want you to give your general explanation of what you think League of Legends is and how do you think and how it works. As we can talk about it a little bit more in game for those who don't know, but just to give a brief overview to those who might not know as much about League, might want to learn a bit more to make it easier to watch as the season goes on. So if you want to just, so in your mind, what do you think is the, like, if you had to explain League in like 3 sentences, how would you explain it?
Strategic, fighting, power.
Strategic, fighting, power. So which of those 3 do you think is most important though?
Ooh, I think strategic is the most important because as you're going on within the game, you have to strategize. Okay, like what powers do I buy? Like what certain like bots I go over? What certain turns you go over? Depending like what part of the map you're at, and you also have to think about like all the other different factors within like the rift and like seeing like what your team can see on the map. What your team can see on the map, and you have to work together in order to be like, okay, this part of the team is going to do this part's going to be doing that, this part of the team is going to be doing that. So you got to have a good strategy going into it, because if you don't, then yeah.
So we actually get to get in the draft here, which is actually, I think, where the strategy of each game starts. I mean, once you get your team composition together, you know what your team wants to do, because each champion has their own method. So if we're looking in here, the first thing that we see is from GCU, we have a Camille, Blitzcrank, and a Graves band. So, and then from the side of NAU, we have a Yorick, Orin, and Fiddlesticks. It seems that NAU doesn't want to deal with as much Engage. The first pick from GCU is going to be Nami. Nami is a very good Enchantress support. She's very supportive. I'm expecting to see a Lucian here for an ADC. For NAU, my bad, coming in here, because Lucian Nami is one of the most common picks together. And then over here for GCU, we have Aphelios and Emilio. Emilio is, I consider, one of the stronger supports at times. He can actually make your auto attack range longer just with one of his spells called his W. We have an Ezreal coming in here for NAU. So Ezreal is very much a poker, or more long range, actually outranges Aphelios himself, which comes in interesting with a Vex. So Vex here is a mage who plays in the mid lane mostly. She doesn't like enemies who have a lot of dashes, she loves fighting people who have dashes because she can fear them easier. And her entire kit is based off of just bursting people and then almost one-shotting them. So it looks like for GCU, they're coming in there with their next pick here. I'm guessing it'll be their mid laner. It is looking like it's going to be an Orianna. So an Orianna is actually what's considered a control mage. So she controls the map. She has her own little object called the ball. And the ball is where all of her spells come out of, where almost everything she does comes out of. So with the ball being so important to her, it actually makes this like interesting dynamic, as you don't just watch for where Orianna is, you have to watch for where her ball is more than her sometimes. Then here we're getting into some more bans. So we got Malphite coming in here. So it looks like GCU with a Malphite ban and an Ornn ban might want to be playing more of like a bruiser top, want to go in for some fighting, because those bruisers top are a lot easier to counter with stuff like Malphite. Then we have an Aatrox ban. Looks like the top lane pool is going to be pinched a lot in this game. There is 4 bans on its own going to the top lane here, which is quite interesting because normally you have some jungler bans, you have more ADC bans, but usually with having so many top bans, it shows GCU wants to play for it. Because with the Aphelios Melio as well, Aphelios and Melio are what we like to call scaling. They are not nearly as strong in the early game. They take a while, but once they're started, they're almost a guaranteed win condition at times. They will do a ton of damage, and they make it really hard to play against. Looks like GCU's going to pick up Kha'Zix here. Kha'Zix is an assassin. So Kha'Zix's goal would be to get on the Ezreal or the Nami, and he will one-shot them. If he does not one-shot the enemy, He is not nearly as useful as his kit cannot get out of the situation without one-shotting, and a lot of his actual abilities are based off of getting that initial kill. And looks like NAU is going to wait for the last second to get their pick. They're going for an Alistar, interestingly enough. My guess here is that was a miss lock-in, as if it is not a missed lock-in, and we will hear from the enemy team, from NAU, if that is a missed lock-in or not, because normally what we expect here is something like a top laner coming in, and then looks like Rek'Sai is going to be the jungle pickup for NAU. Rek'Sai just got a huge nerf coming to her, so actually it looks like it's going to be Urgot. So the Alistar, we don't know what that actually is. Usually NAU will probably has messaged GCU saying, this is what this pick actually is. This is what it's supposed to be. Draft mix-up happen a lot of the time. Not hard to deal with. Looks like GCU might be going for an Alawi. So Alawi will be the last pick for GCU. So when it comes to, honestly, these kind of picks, it gets interesting. As one, I don't know if that's actually an Alistar. Alistar top is interesting. It works, but it's not the strongest always. And I definitely favor GCU's composition over NAU's. If you have any actual, so if you have any thoughts about, those characters that you saw, what champions you saw picked, do you have any idea of, or any questions on how any of them work, or, the kind of, the matchups going into this?
So what can you expect from, based off, what you just been talking about and with, the different characters and stuff like that, what are you expecting based off, the picks of both respective teams?
So, for me personally, it looks like that NAU is going to go for a bot-heavy game, where they have Ezreal and Nami, who are kind of safer, which is interesting because it could be a mid-focus first for NAU with that Vex Rek'Sai. It's a pretty strong mid-jungle duo, which you will hear me talk about a lot in future games, as the mid-jungle sets the tone for the game. While the bot lane of GCU doesn't really want to fight if they can win, but they're not going to be winning any early game fights. On the other hand, I don't know who NAU's top laner is, but Alawi is a very heavy lane bully, very hard to actually deal with if you play wrong. I've personally played against our GCU top laner, and his Alawi. It is not fun. It is a very hard game to play. It honestly can become really annoying, but if you can shut down the Alawi, or I guess I should say, if NAU cannot shut down GCU's bot lane, they're not going to be able to survive till late game, especially with an Orianna and on their team. Orianna likes to empower her teammates more than actually be the winner. She won't destroy you in lane. She's not going to get 4 kills in lane. But she will, later in the game, click her ultimate ability on her Kha'Zix jumping in and help one-shot. She will be giving her teammates shields, making them harder to kill, plus Emilio. And it's going to be very much a game of, can NAU get ahead before GCU can take over? And then NAU, I don't truly know. It's a very unconventional draft. If it is an Alistar top, I do not know what to expect from that. It'll be quite interesting watching both sides of, if it is Alistar top, him pushing the Alawi around. I do not know that matchup. I believe it's Alawi folk. Alawi should win in almost any tank matchup. While if it is something else, then that could change the entire matchup completely. As one lane getting ahead for NAU and being able to shut down GCU's bot lane would be huge. But the hardest part is being able to shut down GCU's bot lane. They are consistent. They are very strong. These two in Clyde and the Milky Goat have actually been playing together for at least the past, I believe this is their 3rd year together. I've watched them play together for the past 2 years. They play great together. They're very consistent bot lane. And it's a little bit harder to kind of play against, especially if you haven't done it before. I'm thinking that NAU has a good chance of being able to do something. It's just NAU has to figure out how they want to start the game off, whether it being bot lane focus, mid lane, or top lane, because Rek'Sai is a ganking jungler, and that's a big thing. Is there's there's like three types of junglers normally. There's hyper farmers, there is ganking, and then there's like normal farmers. So right now, the players are getting in the game. We have a spectator delay for League of Legends. It's something that they have just to make the game nice and easy, like nice and fair for both teams. Uh, it actually helps a lot for both teams to make sure that no one can kind of get an advantage, that no shenanigans can go on. But with the different types of junglers, I personally prefer ganking junglers, and usually there's an early and mid game ganking junglers. Ganking junglers will come into the lane. They like yes, they can farm and they can do well on their own, but they're really strong at getting their team ahead.
Hmm.
While GCU has a Kha'Zix who is a lot more isolated, a lot more 1v1s, and then wanting to one shot. As Kha'Zix passive, which is one of his abilities, you don't have to activate, it just happens naturally. It just kind of exists. It's like almost a buff for each character. If you are alone and you are isolated, he will do extra damage to you, which is not fun because he already one shots everyone.
Hmm.
If Kha'Zix is ahead at all, it's going to be very hard for NAU to play. And if the GCU bot lane is ahead at all, it's going to be very hard for NAU to play. So drafting alone, I definitely favor the whole idea of GCU.
Hmm.
But I think if NAU, maybe they know what they're doing with this draft, maybe they know what they've been playing, and they have a great idea on what to do.
Hmm.
So we'll be getting in the game in just a minute here. But Kayla, I want to ask you if you have to see, if you had to favor like the two teams, because you have to see what the champions look like, everything.
Hmm.
If you had to choose one of those 10 characters for you personally to play, which one would you choose? Based off not if, because I don't know if do you know what any of those 10 do, like full like on your own.
Not really, but like I'm sure I'm not really, but based off everything you were talking about, I think the jugglers is a really good idea just because like you said like they could probably do a lot of damage on a lot of damage and to other players and then like if any of the other teams are not paying attention, that can make a difference for the other teams because all at the end of the day you want to get the middle stone and that's like the main focus. It's like sometimes like there's other different factors that go into it, so it's like the junglers has to be the number one thing like they would have to focus on.
I completely agree. I think this will be for NAU. It will be Rek'Sai's game to carry and to control. Because Rek'Sai will be able to push GCU's bot lane back. Will be able to help protect the top lane for NAU in case Alawi tries to snowball. Get the mid lane ahead for NAU.
Mm-hmm.
On the other hand, though, if Kha'Zix is left unchecked, he will be able to carry games. He will be able to save the team. Like he will be able to go in one shot any of the damage dealers from NAU, stopping it from honestly being able to the game being able to be played. Because Kha'Zix can turn a game from a 5v5 into a 5v4
Mm-hmm.
and get out to tell the story. And if he gets out to tell the story, he'll just do it again because he can do it multiple times. And if he gets that first kill, is he starts a snowball chain, which is just when we use the term snowball for anyone who doesn't really know as much for League of Legends, is basically it's just like in real life. You start with a little small one, they get a little small advantage, and it just keeps growing and going, and eventually it becomes this unstoppable ball that just wins you the game.
Mm-hmm.
And I think unless NAU get a snowball going, I don't know how they will stop GCU.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of becomes one of those, which makes it kind of hard. So we should be getting into game here in just a minute. I'm excited to see how this game goes, and honestly, it should be extremely explosive from at least NAU side. NAU doesn't really have a choice. So here we are getting into game here. So it looks like it is actually an Urgot top for NAU. So it was not the Alistar, it was an Urgot. And then, so for this top lane, interaction, it's gonna be interesting. I think I don't actually know personally which one is super favored, but the Urgot does have Ignite, which is saying that Urgot wants early lane pressure and wants to win early. We can look at GCU already, and we can see that we have the fleet footwork on the Aphelios. We have the phase rush on the Orianna. That just tells me that they want to play for later into the game. And I think that personally, I'm super excited for this game. And I'm glad because I know this is going to be an energy-packed game that I took a Rockstar before this because that Rockstar is going to power me through this game and make it so much easier to enjoy. Because the only unfortunate part for this game is going to be GCU if the game isn't like if GCU doesn't get super far ahead, it's going to be a little bit slower from them. They don't want to play the game of play it slow. They don't want to play the fast game. GCU wants to take it as slow as they can to win the game. And here at the beginning of the game, for about the first like 5 to 10 minutes, a lot of this is just going to be kind of a little bit of trading. The junglers getting their pathing started, as it's just going to be a game of farming up until fights start. Fights won't. The only thing that will start a fight will be the junglers. And we can see that Kha'Zix and Rek'Sai actually started on opposite ends of the map. So Kha'Zix will be toward the bot lane after he does his full clear, while the Rek'Sai will be toward the top lane toward the Urgot to help him. So it's kind of just going to be more of a game of wait. Right now it's a game of waiting. It looks like GCU's mid laner is taking a lot of damage low, so he's just going to be chunked out. He's probably going to have to recall or at least consume his potions. NAU bot lane is getting chunked out a lot, which you do not want to see if you're an NAU fan here. NAU needs to be able to survive this bot lane and not let them get ahead. NAU actually needs to try and win this bot lane. And then for now, I want to ask you if you had to choose, like in the actual like game of League of Legends here, which role would you play? Do you think on the computer version? Because I know you say you play the mobile version a lot. But on the computer version, which role do you think you'd play? Do you want to be in the top, middle, or the bottom lane, or do you want to be in the jungle? I will admit, jungle I do not like because it is probably the most stressful role in my opinion, because you have to do a lot and manage your entire team.
Personally, is I would like to be in the bottom side of the map, more like a supporter, because it's like that's I feel like you would want to protect like all the turrets. That's like you want to protect all the turrets protect all the turrets, and like basically if you're at the bottom, you can like like the NAU team can come farther down, then it's like it's only just like you and one other player. So sometimes you'll see multiple, as we see right now, where there's a couple of NAU players and then also a couple of GCU players on the bottom side of the map getting some action going. So definitely, I would like to be part of like the supporter role.
So when you talk about that, so hey, it looks like we do have a gank coming in from DCR here. Are gonna burn Ezreal's flash. Now they actually got the flash and the heal out of Ezreal, which is huge for the GCU bot lane. So for those who don't know, flash is a 5-minute cooldown. Now that is a long time, especially for League, because we're not even 5 minutes into this game. So a flash is just an instant teleport that can get you out of a lot of dangerous situations. And not having that flash can be a lot harder. As you can see here, Ahmed is actually holding his flash, but GCU is going to turn the gank around that was in mid lane for the first blood themselves. So that was when we talked about a little bit earlier, the whole mid-jungle 2v2 idea. That's what it talks about, because in mid lane, the ganks, it's so central in the game that the other jungler is most likely close enough to be able to also gank alongside what's known as a counter gank. And if you look right now, GCU just kind of across the board is just out farming NAU. And it looks like Urgot is going to go in here. It doesn't look like it's going to be all in. It looks like actually GCU is going to win the trade here. And there is potential for a kill for Alawi, but she's not going to go all the way in. She's just going to kind of play it slow. Urgot's going to have to back up as those tentacles come in and try and hit him. And right now, looks like GCU, a couple of them are going for resets. The bot lane is going for a reset right now of GCU, where a reset is just going back to base, buying some items. And GCU is actually just going to dive top lane. That happened in about 2 seconds. So Alawi got her tentacle pull, which she can do damage to your actual health bar from a distance when it happens. And then the Urgot of NAU didn't play respectfully and didn't play far enough back where to respect the level 6 to level 5 of GCU versus NAU there. Looks like we do have a gank coming in mid lane here, though. I don't know if Ahmed sees it. Ahmed is level 6. Luckily, he did have that flash. He kept it from the earlier gank. Looks like Ahmed might go down here. The shield could save him potentially. He's looking to dodge the skill shot coming out from either the Vex or the Rek'Sai. Ahmed is just running. He's just trying to stall for as much time. Gonna dodge as many skill shots as possible. Doesn't look like he's gonna get it. However, DCR is gonna come in and get a cleanup kill, making it a 1-for-1. So that 1-for-1 is actually really huge for GCU in my opinion, as you can know from playing Wild Rift or really any game. Uh, you don't want to give away a kill for free, but being able to get a kill back makes it a lot easier for teams like GCU who want to want to just stay stable, while NAU wants to get ahead, wants to find these plays. And while yes, that was a good starting play from the jungler of NAU, the fact that DCR was able to get something back makes it a lot harder and makes it almost a little bit scarier for NAU than GCU. Because if GCU is already starting to get kills and getting even if not ahead of NAU, then issue. Because if we look here at, we have the scoreboard up here. If we look at the farm is actually one of the hugest parts of the early game. As with the farm difference, Aphelios is already up 500 gold, which as the game goes on, the gold matters a little bit less. But just that 500 gold makes a long difference in the bot lane, especially early game. As the goal of Aphelios is to get as much farm and stay as healthy as possible. Up top, we have Urgot maybe going for a fire. Allow is going to pop ult, get a huge trade onto Urgot, and frankly is kind of, looks like the top lane really isn't playable for NAU right now. GCU is going to be getting the first dragon of the game, and this isn't looking good for NAU already. There's already a 2k gold difference, which usually I say around 8,000 to 10,000 gold. It's a guarantee. It's almost a guaranteed win for whoever has the lead. It honestly is. As the gold difference comes up, it's literally just slap. It feels like almost you're just getting hit with a bag of money, because the item advantage that comes through, it makes it just so hard to play. Even if you outplay the enemy, they're just stronger.
Especially with the amount of stuff you can buy from the gold, like you could buy so many like good power ups.
Sorry to cut you off here. We had a huge gank up there for the top lane, as Urgot's ultimate allows him to execute the enemy who is going to go down. If they get below, I believe, 15% of their health, I could be wrong at the exact percentage. And with that gank up there by Rek'Sai for NAU, makes it a lot easier for Urgot to secure that kill, keeping him in the game. But the hardest thing is right now, we actually have Rek'Sai going in on Kha'Zix. Don't think that's the smartest idea. Kha'Zix, like I said, very strong in the 1v1. You do not want to 1v1 a Kha'Zix, especially early game. And it looks like Rek'Sai was just getting greedy, thinking he can win as Kha'Zix was taking Rek'Sai's jungle. And Rek'Sai is going to suffer for it. NAU is going to suffer for that, as Kha'Zix now has, I believe, 2 kills under his own belt. If not, I believe it's 2 kills for the Kha'Zix, which is really detrimental for them. As right now, it looks like GCU is just getting lead after lead. The bot lane of GCU should be resetting here. They are running out of mana, but luckily as an ADC, you don't need as much mana. And it looks like that this game is kind of just coming down to a little bit of a standstill. Kha'Zix is upticking what's known as the Rift Herald. We like to call her Shelly. Shelly's our favorite. We like Shelly. Shelly helps take down the towers faster. She does a lot of damage to towers. But in bot lane here for GCU, we're going to get a flash and ghost from Clyde, but he's going to get the kill while Ezreal burning flash. Don't think it's going to be 2 kills here, but you can just see the power of that farm difference, as we're getting up to a 4,000 gold lead here. And I think, while I like to say 8,000 is when the game is like almost set in stone for a team, 4,000 is extremely high amount of gold for this early in the game. Normally teams are about 1,000 gold apart, maybe 2,000. This is a very one-sided game so far from GCU. And that gold lead is just extending and extending. And it's not looking the best here for NAU. But I'm glad that NAU doesn't seem like they're going to give up. They look like they're still trying. Looks like Rek'Sai is going to try for a gank in mid. Looks like Vex is going to land her ult. Looks like Ahmed is going to go down, but he's going to trade one back. That is so heartbreaking for NAU, because just the fact that GCU is able to get that kill back. Looks like we're getting a dive up here in the top lane by Avoid Me. He is going to actually get the kill. And a tower dive up there just makes the game a lot harder already, because the tower dive is just showing the opponent, hey, You have a tower that does a lot of damage to me, but yet that's going to make the game already harder. Looks like bot lane here, we're going to get a gank from DCR. Clyde is going to activate his ult to get a root down, and it's just going to be a clean pickup from the Aphelios. I mean, we have a game here of 9 kills.
Before Shopify, were you wondering, where are my sales at? Now you're selling with Shopify,
and
the global commerce platform supercharging your selling. You have no problem selling online, in person, on social media, and beyond.
I'm honestly surprised if you look at the farm difference itself between the Aphelios and the Ezreal.
Start selling with Shopify today and discover how millions of businesses around the world use Shopify to ignite their selling. Sign up for a $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/YouTube Audio. Shopify.com/YouTube Audio.
So, with the game going on, it's quite interesting to see how everything is going. And the background music is pretty great for this, for everything going now. But the first tower is just going to get destroyed by GCU. And it looks like the jungler from NAU is going to head down toward bot lane. Looks like a gank is going to try and come off, but GCU is aware of it, it seems, as they do have vision in a bush. For those who don't know, vision in League of Legends is very, very important. Vision allows you to see what the enemy jungle is, and if you know where a gank is coming from, the gank is going to be a lot less effective. Because part of the whole point of a gank is it's a surprise 2v1, or it's a surprise 3v2, instead of it being known. Because if you know what's going to happen, you're not going to take the 2v1. Up top, we have another trade. Look, Alawi's just willing to pop ult whenever, but you can see it almost actually takes the Urgot down. And if this Urgot does not be careful, he's going to die. Looks like the Kha'Zix is going to flash, trying to get onto this Rek'Sai. He's going to snipe him with the Q to get a third kill under his belt. And right now, this game is approaching an 8,000 gold lead. This game is becoming a game of GCU smacking NAU with a bag of money. It's becoming a lot harder for them to play. And I want to kind of ask, so seeing kind of how the game is going, do you think, is there any way in your own, like, that you think that NAU could come back from this?
I mean, right now, like you said, like there's a massive difference between and gold. I think the only thing like that NEO could possibly do right now is to make sure they really pay attention to GCU's bots, and because if you don't know how it works, sometimes like the more bots you get, the more gold you can get, and they didn't need to get really, really good powers. They need to get really good kills.
Sorry, I don't mean to cut you off really quick. It looks like Urgot up top lane. So how you're mentioning, though, it is important for that NAU looks for those kills. That Urgot almost got a kill onto the Alawi. While if we can actually pull up like the scoreboard really quickly, what I'm looking at here is there are bounties on DCR and bounties on Clyde. Now, the Kha'Zix and the Aphelios are worth extra gold now. However, the reason they're worth extra gold is because they're very strong, just like another kill comes through in the mid lane for the Aphelios. And this is one of the big issues I was talking about earlier, is that once that Aphelios is started, like the game is over. Because Aphelios is so strong early, and then even top lane here, like the Urgot's gonna try and get out. We're at the point, like I said, we're at a 10k gold lead now. It's 30,000 to 19,000 for GCU versus NAU. Looks like we're gonna have a pretty fast-paced game here, as GCU played the early game well, played it fast, played it smart, and they're just getting so far ahead, as the jungler of NAU doesn't even get his own jungle anymore, as it seems like they're kind of just taking it apart. And the fact that the Aphelios is brave enough at this point to 1v1 the enemy ADC just shows how strong he's become. I mean, we can take a look at even like the items that are up here. It looks like GCU's ahead of an entire item almost on each character, if not like 2 of the 3 components for each item, which is a lot, as items are really what will allow you to come back into a game. As if NAU had some item advantage, some champion advantage, it's potential. But it looks like that NAU is not going to give up. They're going to go for a play down here on the bot side of the map. Looks like Ahmed is going to go down. And that is wonderful for NAU to get there, as that is another kill on Ahmed. Ahmed seems to be kind of the focus here of NAU, but he's taking a lot of this frontal blow, keeping it off of the Kazakhs, keeping it off of the Aphelios. As we're looking at the gold graph here, and alone the Aphelios has 3,500 gold above the enemy Ezreal. That is an entire item. Like, that is a huge power spike. As ADCs come online using about 2 items, Aphelios has about 2. Aphelios has about 2 items. Ezreal doesn't have 1. And up top here, another beautiful gank by DCR. He's playing extremely well this game, and the Alawi's just gonna keep getting farther and farther ahead. And the hardest part is, it's not this that GCU has one person ahead; their entire team is ahead. And if you have an entire team ahead, unfortunately, in a game like League, it's very hard to slow them down. As it's not like, oh cool, there's one person's ahead, but these other 4 are weaker, so we can target them. It's a game of no one is ahead for NAU, and it's going to make it really hard for things to happen. So another tower goes down on the side of NAU to GCU, and right now we have objective bounties up. Objective bounties are almost in a way to incentivize NAU to be able to make these plays and maybe have to give up things to get extra gold. As for taking a tower right now, NAU will get an extra 300 gold to the entire, like, split across their entire team. If they can get a dragon somehow in this Ocean Soul, they will get extra 100 gold to everyone on their team, which doesn't seem like much, but an extra 600 gold for an entire team can help slowly close that distance. But this lead by GCU doesn't seem to be making really mistakes. They're just pushing it ahead. They're going for their advantages. And really, it's becoming a game of what can NAU do. Looks like Urgot is stronger, though, than Ahmed expected. Ahmed getting a bit greedy with that gold difference and thinking he can 1v1 the Urgot in range. So the Urgot did burn the flash for that kill. But with the Orianna being down, there is potential for a fight here. DCR going to flash out of the fight. Doesn't want to continue. But Clyde is just going to kill off the Vex. And this fight is just kind of over. This is the fight of throwing a bag of money at you.
Yeah.
Clyde is throwing a bag of money at the enemy, and they can't do anything to stop him. With that being a double kill for the Kazakhs, I believe that was a double kill for the Aphelios as well. And Alawi's pushing in the enemy's base. Maybe going to take an inhibitor. No inhibitor's taken. But NAU's just running out of places to play. And it's quite interesting. I want to ask you, in this position, do you think NAU should focus on keeping their mental as high as possible and almost focusing on the next game? Or do you think that they should maybe try it and somehow make a miracle comeback?
I think, honestly, like, for NAU, it's probably going to be more important for them trying to receive that comeback, because we still have long a ways for the game, and you don't know if like they can make this amazing comeback.
So it looks like here that unfortunately sometimes GCU client has a few issues with that spectator delay. It looks like the game just kind of ended, and while it looks like it just randomly ended, that is because of the spectator bug that sometimes happens. So we're going to go back in and be able to watch the rest of the game. And frankly, we apologize. We can't really do much about the league bug, as the client itself is very buggy. League players like myself have been asking for, feels like, a decade at this point of what's been going on. So let's get back into the game, though. We can be able to finish the rest of it. So we get to finish the rest of it, and we'll be able to see kind of what's been happening from that dragon fight. So after that dragon's been taken, it looks like GCU might go for a bot lane push. They're going for the Baron here. And this Baron is actually just going to be huge. So a Baron take here basically is, if the nail wasn't in the coffin already, the Baron puts the nail in the coffin. It empowers your minions, and it empowers you to be able to push faster and take the enemy base. So it's going to be kind of a game of, let's finish this up, and we'll see, honestly, what the game will go. I think GCU is trying to end this faster than later, in case somehow, as seems like 4 people from NAU are going for the Alawi, but the Alawi is surviving a very long time, and while, yes, 4 people committed to kill the Alawi, GCU is sending the rest of their team to try and end the game potentially here, as that took a lot of resources from NAU just to kill one person. there's 4 more to kill. And while, yes, it's now a 5v4, it's almost still a 4v4 if you don't have the abilities, the summoner spells, to be able to continue the game. So it looks like here GCU is just going to go for the end of the game push here. I want to know if NAU is going to go for a fight here, potentially try and save the game, as right now it's do or die. NAU doesn't have a choice. NAU has to fight. Doesn't matter the numbers, doesn't matter the items, doesn't matter anything. NAU has to fight, and it looks like GCU started the fight off for them. The Rek'Sai is going to go in, try and do some damage, try and get something done, kill the Aphelios maybe, but that looks like that's going to be game. That is only 2 people to defend the base right now for the team at NAU, and it looks like GCU is going to try and end it. NAU's fighting, though. NAU is trying to scrap this game out, but it looks like the Nexus is open, and it looks like, well, yes, the Kha'Zix is finally going to die. End of the perfect game. Frankly, that was a really strong game from GCU. I'm very glad that game ended with a 20K gold lead. So, after watching that game, what do you think?
It was definitely a very electric game. Like you said, like I just want to ask you: was there anything that NAU could have done to make this game like for their win? Like, do you think was there anything they could have done?
I think the thing that NAU had to do is, one, their draft wasn't cohesive. I think it was very much a fail in draft. NAU didn't have what people call an identity for their team. So GCU made an identity for their team with Orianna, with Aphelios, and with Melio. They made an identity of, we're going to scale, we're going to survive, we're going to not let you kill, like, we're not going to fall far behind, if at all behind, apparently. And then they're going to survive till the end. And then as the game goes on, they will just outscale you, which is just, their power ramps up faster. So on like a curve almost, NAU is kind of like a straight line more. GCU, it starts lower, but then it shoots up.
Yeah.
And that was GCU's game plan, is survive till the shoot. NAU had no plan, it looked like. Urgot was doing decently well in the top lane, but the bot lane didn't survive till the late game, and they didn't get a huge early lead. I think NAU had to get an early game lead, which GCU just didn't let them. So, but after that game, it was a very explosive game, very fun one to watch. We're going to be going to a break here. So, Kayla, if you want to send us off, and then we will catch you guys after the break.
All right. We're going to be back in a little bit, and we'll see you guys for the next round of League of Legends.
All right, welcome back, everybody. We're about to get straight into the game 2 draft. After that explosive game 1, I want to see NAU change it up.
Mm-hmm.
I think GCU could go with the exact same strategy, exact same thing happen potentially. Luckily in League, we don't get that. So we're getting straight into draft, and it looks like GCU going for the same 3 bands: York, Orin, Fiddlesticks. All they got to get rid of. Why change the plan? It worked last time.
Yeah.
NAU, though, getting rid of the Aphelios this game. Now, the Aphelios was a huge issue for them last game, and I think that's a good ban, but I don't know how much I agree with it being such a priority ban potentially. As well, yes, GCU's great at it. GCU had a lot of other great things. The first pick for GCU is going to be Jarvan. Now, Jarvan 4 here. My goodness, is this a broken champion right now? He is extremely strong. He is on a pick ban basis at this point, it feels like. He's extremely strong, extremely consistent, very heavy early gank jungler. And then we're going to have a NUNU and Willem come in from NAU. So, I don't know if you hear him in the background. So that is our GCU broadcast director, Evan. His favorite champion the entire game is NUNU. So NAU picking up NUNU and Willem here. So, and we're getting a Lux and a NUNU coming in from NAU here. That's going to be very explosive. A lot of damage. Maybe we're getting an AP NUNU. I want a one-shot. I want a NUNU one-shot. But GCU probably going to go for more standard draft. NUNU is not very good right now, I would be honest. But it looks like GCU is going to grab Zyra Rakan for their bot lane. Fun fact, Zyra Rakan are dating. I believe are dating or married. One of the two. Or lovers. I don't remember. But in the lore, they are together. And they have they have fun interactions as Rakan can start recalling and Zyra finish farming and then join in Rakan's recall. They were actually released. So Zyra and Rakan were released together as a pair of champions. NAU going with the Lux Caitlyn bot lane most likely. Then we have a Camille ban coming in from NAU. Looks like we get into the next set of bans here. And I'm expecting it to become more of a... Looks like already NAU is making a big change though. The Lux Caitlyn's huge change. That is aggression, 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 aggression. I like it. The Malphite ban coming out from GCU, smart ban. But what I'm thinking here is I want to see NAU keep up this aggression.
Yeah.
I want to see a tank top lane as for a good engage to follow up with NUNU. And then I want a mid laner who will fight. I like the Vex. Vex would be great again, but it's a lot of AP damage. I think a good AD mid laner, maybe a Zed. I don't know if they play Zed. Maybe a Yone. I don't know if they play Yone. Just something that can stop, something that can go in for GCU. And basically, NAU wants a wombo combo, is like I like to call it. Many people call it. Wombo combo is we go in, we hit them hard, we hit them fast, we get out. We have the Vex here again. Vex is great at the wombo combo. Vex ults in, hits the R, flies in, hits them, usually kills somebody. And if she kills somebody, she can do it again. As her getting a kill resets her ult. But GCU here got to get their last 2 picks in. Got a top laner and a mid laner missing. What I'm expecting from GCU, I'm expecting more stock standard. Syndra's great in the Vex. It can outrange her, can poke her down. And it kind of becomes a game of Syndra will one-shot you. It is guaranteed. If the game goes for a long time, her ultimate gets the ability to execute you when you have 15% or less health, which is not that much health. Which is actually a lot of health, I should say. If you're an ADC, they're squishy. And then we have a Jace coming in here for GCU's top laner. I think that is Aqua's Jace. Now, Aqua's Jace is consistent, and I think it's pretty great. Personally, I've played against it. It's really annoying to play against. And then I like GCU's draft here. It's stock standard. It is literally a stock standard draft from pro play. And then NAU going for a Warwick top, I think. It could be Warwick jungle. Could be NUNU jungle. I don't know. NAU, I like the aggression. GCU is very standard, very strong of if we survive if NAU does not explode this game and get like a 5K gold lead when the first 5 minutes it feels like of this game, GCU wins. However, this is not something that you play against every day for GCU, especially in like a 5v5 setting. NAU is not a comp that you play against a lot, and maybe they're all feeling safe with it. Maybe they feel consistent with it, and a lot of the time, comfort can feel just as important as the strength in the meta, as like in any game almost. If you're playing Valorant, and well, yes, maybe Astra is one of the best characters in the game right now, she's also one of the most complicated and makes it really hard. And I think from anyone who's played any game, really, from any board game, anything that has a selection of characters, well, yes, you want to be good at the best ones. You want to be good at the strongest. But if you're not good at them, they're not the strongest. They're usually the weakest. So, from you looking at the draft differences, and I know you've played WoW Rift a bit, what is the main difference that you actually see from regular Computer League to Wild Rift League? Because I have not played much Wild Rift myself.
So based off what I noticed, like there isn't that much of a difference, to be honest. But like obviously, like when you play with a PC, there's a bigger screen, and so you could see a lot more detail of like, okay, what you need to focus on. With Wild Rift, when you have like a mobile device, you can't see a lot, and it's harder to see like what the stats are and like what your kills are and what the gold is, and like you're trying to find the goal while you're playing it on your phone. When you have a computer, a PC, you can use one hand to attack while you're using the other hand to buy the gold and buy your power ups.
See, and that's really interesting because I agree with that in the sense of I think computer has so much diversity and like what you can see in the map and a lot more to pay attention to, because on the flip side, it sounds like Wild Rift at times can be a lot simpler. So if you want to get into League at all, if you want to get into the Champions, you see anything really fun about League, but you don't want to get into the actual like game of like League, and like it can be intimidating, I will be honest, with how long it's been out and how good some people are. I recommend playing Wild Rift.
Yeah.
It's a great way to get into it, learn about what characters do, because characters from Wild Rift who are in the actual, like, so people from the actual main game who are in Wild Rift do a lot of the same things.
Yeah.
And I think it's a great idea to like be able to play some Wild Rift, especially if you're going to want to keep watching and you don't have time. Because Wild Rift, how long does a Wild Rift game usually take?
So they usually takes about 20 minutes. So it's basically like that's like one of the main differences, because with Wild Rift, it cuts half the time, because with like PC, it plays about 40 minutes on average.
Yeah, it's only about 30, 40. I've been stuck in a few longer games, maybe because I made some mistakes and I wanted to win, so I fought really hard, and I normally win them.
Yeah.
But I think that's really smart. If people here were going to pick up Wild Rift, is there any specific champion you'd recommend? Any like idea of what they should do then?
I would before like you even download the game, if you're interested, I would definitely look up some videos, because it was hard for me to like not really knowing anything about it and just downloading it and just trying to figure it out myself. Definitely go through the tutorial, and please pay attention to the tutorial. It'll teach you a lot about like, based off what you've already talked about, how not only how the game works, but also like what strategies you can already develop just based off like watching tutorials alone. And definitely like watch a couple of videos, because I know for me, like that's how I know pretty much a lot of things about the game, because I watch a ton of videos on YouTube or anything on social media. Like that's going to help you a ton with like getting into the game, learning the basics, and like seeing what characters you already said. As we talked about at the beginning of the stream, I think Caitlyn and Ziggs are definitely both my favorite characters. I know there's a couple more on that I do like. I just don't remember them on the top of my head, but I'm sure like after the stream's over, I'll look at my phone and see like, oh, like I could have mentioned this character, this character, this character.
And I think that's interesting because we did see NAU actually pick up Caitlyn.
Yes.
So I'm assuming you're very excited for that one.
Yes, I saw like Caitlyn. I'm like, yes, they got a good character. So I really like Caitlyn and her abilities.
So that's great, and I honestly find it really funny knowing how much our student broadcast director Evan loves NUNU. Knowing how much you like Caitlyn, I know a few people who love Lux, and then it's just funny. NAU, if you're watching, okay, NAU, if you are watching us, we love you champion picks. And it's pretty fun. I think you're going to make a fun game if you are listening, because I feels like you are almost with what champions we talk about and who we mentioned before. So I wish you the best of luck. Right now, we're kind of waiting for that spectator delay to die down. And once we can, we're going to get right in the game. But what I'm excited for a lot is I actually love seeing Xayah and Rakan together because they're so strong together, but they're rarely actually able to be played together. As Rakan is actually extremely strong right now, Xayah is not always. And, you know, unfortunately, sad as it might seem, when Rakan is strong and Xayah isn't, it's like a lover's quarrel. You're forcing, because ADC and the support are like the bot lane, and we're actually about to get in the game here, and I want to see them play well because in my heart, whenever I see a Rakan without a Xayah, it's just sad. It's like a breakup. The Rakan had to go, especially because there's so many female ADCs. What is Rakan doing? It's been proven that Xayah and him are made to be together. Yet he will go play with other girl characters. How does that make you feel?
Ooh, I don't know, because it's like you said, like if those two go so long together, what's the point of like one player is going against another female character?
It just
doesn't make sense.
They have custom voice lines together, everything. But unfortunately, Rakan is so strong with what he can do as his abilities. He has a lot of mobility, and he's very good at starting team fights and getting out of the team fight if he needs to. He's very slippery, which is very annoying because as a top lane player, I like to play tanks. If you don't know, tanks are beefy boys, don't take a lot of damage, can deal a decent amount of damage, but they don't have mobility and they don't have range. So we don't really have any tanks in this series to show off with it, but tanks are kind of hard to follow. But in this game, we get to see the Xayah Rakan, and we're about to get in the game here. As we're getting started here, looks like both teams are getting going. So it looks like here for GCU, we have Roblox in the top lane. And it looks like it's a little bit of a change up for GCU. It looks like they brought some of the other players in. And then it is a Warwick top. Warwick, I like to call a cheese top laner. He is extremely strong in very, very specific aspects. So, honestly, it's quite interesting in the idea of if Warwick is what we would like to call sink or float. Well, actually, I like to say sink or swim at times more. Warwick will either thrive and be really strong, or he's going to be really weak and fall extremely far behind. And the scary part about that is you don't know until the game starts. So what actually happens in these first minutes of the game is camps and minions don't get to... So camps don't spawn till a minute 30, and then everything else doesn't start till about a minute 40 at times. Mid lane starts about minute 30, top lane about minute 45, same as bot lane normally. And we can actually see here that what's going on right now is a leash. So a leash is just where your bot lane or your top laner helps your jungler get their first camp started. And if you can see here, it's already going to be an interesting start as both Nunu and Jarvan are starting toward the bot side of the river. So when I talk about the bottom side of the map, for those who don't know, it is just the, if you see like what we call the middle lane, which is just the middle, the bottom side is just split like diagonally downward. And usually, there's like it's almost like in quadrants in the game. And it kind of is interesting as the game will change depending on what quadrant you play in, and as towers fall, your team kind of expands in what they control. But for now, we're in the game of playing slow, playing smart, and we can see that this Lux Caitlyn bot lane is already doing a bit better than last time, as they're trying to poke out GCU a bit, getting a bit more damage. But the hardest thing is that this top lane matchup for GCU, he is not quite ahead yet, as he is getting pushed into by the Warwick, but an interesting idea of how the laning works is the way is almost like push and go, and you don't really know who has more farm, who has more minions until each wave kind of comes back and new waves join. It's like right now it'll show that Roblox is behind in farm, but like, as in top lane as the Jace, but there's also more minions for Roblox to get like to kill. It's usually about, so it's pretty much even right now. However, it seems that Ahmed is doing quite well mid lane, keeping this Vex under control, and I think Ahmed looks like he feels maybe a little bit more comfortable on the Syndra compared to the last game. But right now, so you see we're about the 3:30 mark. This about 3:30 to 4 minutes is when the first ganks come in. As NUNU's trying to gank Syndra mid here, and he's gonna hit the snowball. He's gonna try and get the root. Syndra's gonna flash respectfully, not gonna risk it, not gonna give out first blood. Jarvan's gonna come in here for a counter gank though. NUNU's also gonna have to flash. That is a lot of power for that Jarvan. As NUNU being so low and not having flash, Jarvan could counter jungle him and take NUNU's camps. But for now, looks like that Jarvan's gonna almost reset. Might look for a gank mid. He's gonna be spotted on a ward. And a ward, or like with how vision works, is like we kind of talked about earlier. Different teams have different vision of the map. So like red side does not see everything blue side sees, and blue side does not see nearly everything the red side will see. Looks like NUNU's coming for another gank. Repeat ganks are very, very common. First blood is going to go to NUNU. The gank is going to pop off, and there's going to be a flash from the Lux as well as the Ignite to try and take down the Xayah. Xayah is not going to go down. She's going to start a recall off as Rakan kind of keeps the enemy bot lane back. This is the aggression that we needed to see from NAU, as NAU is trying to keep themselves in this series. As remember, this is a best of 3 series. In a best of 3 series, with GCU already having the first win, NAU is in do or die.
Yeah.
If GCU makes some mistakes, it's all right. It looks like top lane here. This is where the Warwick cheese comes in. As Warwick, I think Warwick could have fought. I think Warwick should have fought that. I think Warwick wins that. Jace has no mana, and Warwick has Ghost.
Yeah.
I think Warwick should have won that. But the Warwick did not go for it, and the Jace kind of gets out unpunished. But if we look here, even with that first blood going over to the NUNU, the gold is still about even. NUNU has a gold lead, but NUNU is so NUNU and the Warwick are ahead of the Jarvan and the Jace, but Syndra and Xayah are both ahead of Vex and Caitlyn, which is interesting because while yes, it's very important that Jarvan, Jarvan is good in gold, Jarvan is not the damage dealer. Jarvan is the facilitator. It looks like NUNU is coming for another gank mid. They want to abuse Ahmed. They do not know that Rakan is here though, so this could be risky. Lux is hovering the middle lane. It might be, we might get a 3v3 here. Rakan is going to flash in, get the taunt. They're going to get the knock up on the NUNU. NUNU's going to get the heal. NUNU is running out with the skin of his teeth. That is like maybe 10 HP on NUNU. That is hard for GCU to deal with. But in the bot lane here, is that the hard thing is the bot lane. Both are getting solo XP. But we saw last game. We know Clyde can carry games. He's proven it with how well he did last game. Can the Caitlyn, can Mawagi carry NAU if he's given the chance? Or can the Vex or the NUNU carry the game if given the chance? The hardest thing now in this game right now, Vex is going to hit level 6. Vex is going to go in with her ult. Syndra's going to counter with her ult. But the Vex is going to flash with the Ignite and get the kill. So this Syndra is being bullied. However, the gold is staying even. Because while yes, Vex is getting kills and NUNU's getting kills on her, Ahmed is farming up a storm. Ahmed has 53 farm. Vex is 28. That is really, really hard to come back from. Because while yes, kills are great, you can't guarantee kills. Farms, so how a lot of League of Legends players will put it. Good farm is usually a pretty good player. A lot of kills, so if you have a lot of kills in some games, but you're a 50-50 farmer, like if your farm is usually low, you're not going to usually win. NAU here is going to get the first dragon. That is an Ocean Dragon. And I already like this better. NAU isn't afraid. even after getting, as I would like to say, they got stomped last game. It was a 20,000 gold difference. They're not afraid. They're willing to fight. They say, you know what? We lost last game. Cool. We will fight this game. We will win this game.
I think that they have. Sorry, not to mean to
go
interrupt
ahead.
you, but like I think like NAU has a lot more to prove this round. Like as you can already tell, they already got like. They're getting like several kills. Like even though GCU is a little bit above gold wise, there isn't that much of a difference. So I think they learned a lot from the first round, and then now they're like, okay. But as you were talking about the aggression earlier, they're like, okay, we just need to go for it and just hope for the best, you know.
I completely agree, and I like that NAU isn't scared.
No.
As there are a lot of times when, especially I believe if you looked at like. When we looked at the ranks at the before the match started, GC did have a rank advantage across the team.
Mm-hmm.
But with that, NAU is not afraid of the rank disadvantage. I think honestly, what is not that uncommon to see is when you are on do or die. What do you have to show?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like there's nothing really that you have to prove as a point. For there's nothing that NAU has to prove.
Mm-hmm.
Like, GCU, they destroyed game 1. If they destroy... GCU probably wants to destroy game 2.
Mm-hmm.
NAU showed that they maybe not be doing quite as well. But NAU may also be playing with the mindset of, well, okay, they destroyed us last time. Let's just do better. Like, let's just try to play better. GCU is going to be getting this first Rift Herald up top side, though. Rift Herald, like we talked about last time, can get you a lot of money. Especially when turret plays up. We have a huge fight going in here, by the way. Rakan is going to ult in, get the knockup and the charm onto the Caitlyn. Caitlyn may survive. The flash is not going to be burned by the Xayah to secure the kill. Xayah may be trying to save for a Q. The Caitlyn ult is going to come out to try and poke them away. They do not want to get dove. So, by burning those ults, well, yes, it doesn't look like the best option as they're not going to get a kill. By chunking out the enemy the best you can prevent a dive from coming in and losing even more. Because with how the Caitlyn health bar was, it kind of became a situation of, well, do you stay, risk being dove, and then die and lose more? Or do you just give up, your losses, like cut your losses, and just wait?
Mm-hmm.
And NAU is playing smart, and they're like, okay, if I have to give up my losses, I have to give up my losses. Let's get it somewhere else. But the hardest thing right now is just the farm differential. As we can take a look at the gold here, because GCU developed a 1,000 gold lead somewhere. I don't know where. Just through farming, and it looks like it is between the Syndra and the Xayah who have that gold lead, as well as the Rakan. So GCU, while not even being ahead in kills, they're getting ahead in gold.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I meant by the idea of if you can farm consistently and not die a lot, you will do well.
I think this is like the big thing I was talking about earlier. This is when being strategic really, really comes into play. Because, like, yeah, like you said, like the more of like farm things.
Hang on here 1 second. Sorry, we got a NUNU gate coming in. Syndra is going to have to flash the Vex ult, but she's going to get rooted. NUNU's going to charge the ult as high as possible. There's going to be a third kill onto the Syndra.
Mm-hmm.
Ahmed is not playing very respectfully this game. It's kind of an issue, but okay, we're going to get a flash, a knockup from the Rakan into the Jarvan ultimate. There's going to be a kill secured by the GCU bot lane onto the Xayah. Sorry to interrupt you there. So back to your point of the actual strategy if you want to continue.
Yes, so like as you can see, like GCU, like they're just a little bit ahead when it comes to goal. Like this is like when being strategic is very, very important because
Sorry, I hate to keep interrupting you.
This
but
is
GCU
a really
GCU doesn't give it a chance.
This is a very entertaining game so
NUNU
far.
may be coming in bot lane. So with this Rift Herald summon here, it's actually summoned to take down this tower. So NUNU actually should probably get pretty far away as the second this tower falls, all of GCU is going to keep pushing. GCU most likely is going to go for a second push. The Rift Herald is not going to survive the tower dive, or like the tower kill. As you can see, as those tower plates fall, the tower gets very, very hard to kill, very tanky. But that amount of gold that just went into the Xayah. Xayah is 2-0. Xayah, so GCU has a 3K gold lead about 2,000 of that is on the Xayah alone. Looks like the Warwick is going to go in on a fight on the Jace. The Jace is going to flash around just so he doesn't die. Looks like they might look for another pick onto Ahmed here. But the Jarvan is going to go in. They're going to knock up the Lux. Lux is going to have to flash out. I think they're just going to not risk the fight. I like what GCU is doing. I think GCU knows they have the lead. In League, you cannot actually see the physical gold numbers like we do. We are in the spectator mode. In game, you don't see these actual numbers of the gold difference. They can't tab between it. But GCU knows they probably have an advantage. But we have a huge fight going on here for Dragon. The Vex, does land onto the Milky Goat. He's going to get out. But the Xayah is still alive. The Xayah finally goes down. Looks like NAU is actually going to win this fight, as GCU does not want to finish. They have a lot of low health bars. Vex is gonna try and chase down. They look like they want to chase down Ahmed. Ahmed is gonna go down, and that is a huge fight win for NAU. We said they need to be scrappy. We said they need kills. Ahmed has died 4 times. Vex is 3-0-2. Vex is down about 30 farm, and yet the Vex is up in gold and in value right now. And that dragon fight going NAU's way is very important, I believe. Because they got a kill onto the Xayah, which had a bounty of 150 gold. Now, right now, the Jace has a bounty, I believe, from Tower Plates? I don't know where his bounty came from. He has the same amount of farm as Warwick. Maybe the game is favoring NAU. I don't know. I can't control that part of it. That's a little bit weird. But sometimes it's most likely numbers that we don't see in what Jace has been able to provide and do for his team. But right now, Rakan is going for some vision. He's just going to hop over the river, the Baron Pit wall. And right now, it's almost a lull. So, around this 15-minute mark that we're approaching, the game is kind of opening up. The bot lane turret has been taken by GCU, and the game is kind of opening up into, you don't really have as many assignments, especially for the support. The support is going to be walking as many places as they can, helping their team. The support becomes almost a second jungler, as the support doesn't need the gold. The support doesn't farm. The support gets all of their gold from the idea of helping their team get kills and from assists. Support is usually, depending on the support, like Lux can get more kills as she just does a lot of damage sometimes. But the support usually gets their gold from helping like this. Well, the Rakan is going to go in. They're going to try and lock up the Warwick. Jarvan's going to come in to help secure the kill. They're going to actually bait the Warwick ultimate. But Warwick is going to get a kill. That's the cheesy thing of Warwick. He heals the lower health he is. He heals more and hits you harder, the lower health. Looks like Ahmed is going to almost solo kill the Vex here. Vex may live. Vex is going to go down. That is a huge shutdown, I believe, over to Ahmed. Ahmed is going to go down for this one, but that is A-okay, I think. Ahmed is going to go for that 1v1 kill onto the Vex, showing that even with all of his deaths, he was 0-4 before, he's still good. He knows what he's doing. And that's where the farm came in. And like what you talked about earlier with the strategy. GCU's strategy here is, like especially with Ahmed getting focused down, Ahmed knows he is good at the game, and Ahmed knows he can be consistent. Because I will be honest, as a League player, this game is hard for Ahmed not to die in at times. He's trying to farm and play normally, but with how often NUNU has been mid lane, you only get flash every 5 minutes. NUNU has been ganking mid over and over and over, making Ahmed's life very hard. As you can't, it's almost like in other sports or games where you can't avoid things happening, and you can't always avoid someone being forced to the weekend. Caitlyn accidentally burned flash there. That was a complete accident, it looks like. But looking at the gold here, the Syndra is down 100 gold, but the Xayah is up 1.4 thousand. The Jace is up 600. The Jarvan is up 300 gold, and the Rakan is up 1,000 gold. So, as we kind of almost talked about, well, yes, Syndra's down. Syndra's like behind. But the rest of GCU is ahead. They're doing well. So, but looking how much the game is a lot closer to this game. Around this point last game, I asked you the question of, what do you think NAU should do? And do you think they can make a comeback? Seeing the difference between this game and last game, as hang on, Jarvan is going to go in with a EQ combo into ult. Caitlyn is just going to get deleted. But does NAU want to take the fight? Syndra gonna get this done onto the back. Xayah is gonna get a double feather pullback. The NEU is down. GCU, huge fight from them. That was a huge mistake on NAU's Vex, I believe, to come in. Lux fails the flash over the wall. Oh no! Lux could have flashed over the wall potentially, but she was not close enough and didn't get over. That is 4 kills on the side of GCU. That went from about a 4,000 gold lead, sorry, about like a 3,000 gold lead. It looks like to a 6,000 gold lead in one fight, with the dragon spawning as well. Now, NAU was doing great at dragon stacking, as once you have 4 dragons, you get the dragon soul. So this game, it'll be the rest of the dragons, until someone has 4 dragons, will be the Chemtech dragon. It gives you a buff, a permanent buff to your team. It's not like the biggest buff, but the Dragon Soul is is a huge buff that is considered a win condition for many teams. But right now,
objective bounties are available. They're coming up soon. So
that is good. So it's good that they're up this game, but objective bounties come up when a team is 5,000 gold behind. So NAU being 5,000 gold behind, they have a chance to come back now. It makes it a lot easier. But I want to ask you, do you think NAU has a chance to come back? And if so, out of their players so far, out of their champions, who do you think, what do you think NAU should do to try and make a comeback? Never mind, I cannot ask you this question. As Warwick decides the second the question is asked, he is going to go in. He's going to try and get a kill onto the Syndra. Syndra does not push him into the tower. Warwick is almost dead. So, Syndra is very close to dying here. Nunu is coming up. Nunu wants to kill her. Warwick is going to ult in.
There you go.
That is the kill. Okay. Now, what do you think? That was a great play by NAU. Do you think NAU has a chance to make a comeback in this game, or do you think GCU will just keep going?
I think NAU has a lot more to prove, especially after the first round. I think they're going to be there is a huge possibility that they could make an amazing comeback, especially especially with this round, how neck and neck we are with NAU. There is a huge possibility that they can make a comeback. How they can make a comeback? Let's see. They're really going after Ahmed. Ahmed is the most. It's like the one character they want to go after the most. So it's oh, there you go.
So I find that interesting. Me personally, as NAU, so say I was in NAU's position. I think what I would want to do is, I see the Jace has a 600 gold bounty. Rakan is actually going to ult. Fight's going to break out of the melee. Rakan is going to go for an ult. Vex is going to hit an ult onto the Xayah, but the Vex is going to go down due to a Jarvan ult plus the Xayah feather pullback. That is very hard, as NAU burned multiple cooldowns for that. But I think NAU should go for Jace. I think you should try and kill Jace if you can. Jace, if you get a kill on him, is worth 900 gold. But GCU is going to go for a Baron play. This is a very smart play, as they have Syndra still in the top lane, pushing it in, making it much harder for NAU to answer. Looks like Syndra might go for a quick kill onto the Caitlyn. That is just Syndra. So like I said, Syndra will one-shot you. So Syndra scales very hard. And with the, what she does is as she hits you with some of her orbs, she has a very strong combo, as she just did. Syndra's gonna go for an ult. Lux is now also dead. Syndra used flash, Q, E, and then R, and it one-shot the Lux. It is very disgusting. Syndra is considered a very strong champion, and she just got buffed because it is the Worlds patch, and she was not very... So, a lot of the champions who got buffed in this patch seem sometimes a bit unfair. But the Worlds patch is not balanced for the average player or even the collegiate. It's balanced more for the best, because it is what they're going to be playing an entire Worlds tournament on. Which is also why Syndra got buffed, because she was great in solo queue already, but she was not performing the way that she could in pro play. And they want pro play to have as many options in Worlds as possible, which is why that type of thing occurs. Looks like I said, shut down the Jace. However, there was 4 members of GCU running at you. This might be the game potentially if they get the kill onto the Vex here. That is 2 kills down. GCU has Baron, they have a wave, and Syndra is pushing in top lane. this is a 10K gold lead right now, and this is beating them in with a bag of money. The bag of money is being thrown, and GCU is looking to upgrade their wallet. They want a bigger wallet. The wallet's not quite as big as last time. It looks like they downgraded. But Desire has 10,000 gold.
Wow.
So does the Jace. So does the Syndra. There is 3 members. So Desire is 3,500 gold ahead of the Caitlyn. The Syndra was about 3,000 gold after all of those deaths. This just shows what GCU can. I think this game is very impressive by Ahmed to stay so relevant in the game. But this game, it looks like GCU is going to end it here. I want to say good game to both teams here. As the Nexus turrets are falling, the Nexus is going to fall. And I think that was a great game by GCU. So, and honestly, I'm very impressed with NAU fighting ability that game. I think that NAU looked strong. They fought hard for that to try and keep in that game. But I think GCU wanted, just as a team, as a unit, they understood Ahmed was getting put behind. And Ahmed understood that. But GCU knew that they had a Jace ahead, they had a Xayah that could get ahead, and they had Vakana ahead. They knew that there was a good potential to win that. So I think those were some great games. But I want to say thank you once again before we head out to Canes for sponsoring us and Rockstar for powering all of our players and all of us here at GCU. And then, Kayla, do you have anything to say on that game before we head out for the night?
Yeah, so I obviously we saw the NAU, so the first round they were kind of trying to get a feel of it, but then the second round you could tell they were in it to win it. They were trying to go very aggressive at the beginning, and so it's so they want to get ahead at the beginning, but then GCU just eventually caught up. It was spectacular watching NAU trying to make that amazing comeback. Good job, NAU. You guys did amazing today. If you guys are listening to this stream.
So I think NAU did a great job trying to fight back on that one, but GCU, congrats to both teams.
Yes.
Congrats to GCU for winning week 1 of this NECC. And then I want to say thank you guys for listening, watching. Hopefully you guys learned a bit about League. And tune into next week. Come back. We have another match next week in NECC week number 2. And until then, I want to say good night to everybody and hope you enjoyed the stream.